There's an old saying, the two greatest tragedies in life are never getting what you want, and the other is to get what you want. But in Batman's case, he wants something he can never have, despite all of his outrageous wealth. And that is for his parents to be alive again, or rather to have never been killed in the first place. But since none of us can bribe death, well, the dead stay gone. Or at least they do in our world. Now, in the world of DC, with time travel and such, it isn't completely impossible to bring them back, as was shown in the Flashpoint paradox, in which his parents survive the attack and he dies instead, which in fairness would be a deal that Bruce Wayne would undoubtedly be fine with. But seeing what his death does to his parents' minds, well, that might give him pause. You see, his father goes on to become a Batman, which sounds good, but we're talking about a Batman who murders villains. And his mother goes on to become the Joker, which is just bad all around, and she also murders people. Quite a lot of people, in fact. But this immediately hits at the core problem with him stopping them from dying, and that is, there is always a cost. You can't change history without changing history. I mean, it's a very simple fact. And while his parents may be alive, sure, the rest of the world has gone to hell, with hundreds of millions having died in the Amazons vs Atlanteans war. Now, this isn't necessarily just because his parents are alive, of course. I mean, that wouldn't really make much sense. But you still have to remember that although this world has a Batman, it doesn't have a Bruce Wayne Batman, who is definitely the superior of the two. I mean, the Bruce Wayne Batman not only improved his world, but he also stopped a lot of crime and actually saved the world on several occasions. So one could argue that he's actually a lot more important than his parents, in the grand scheme of things. After all, he does save and improve the lives of billions of people, which his parents have not done. But I'm getting off point here, and the point is this. If Batman changes history, he has no way of knowing what the ripple effect would be throughout time. Now, maybe everything would be more or less the same. Or maybe the Nazis would rise again and conquer the world. I mean, there's just no way of knowing. That's the problem. It's random. But even if everything seems fine on the surface, it would still be wrong. Because one way or another, he would be changing the lives of billions of people. Especially considering how influential people like his parents are. After all, billionaires do have a lot of power. And by changing just one small thing, he'll trigger the butterfly effect. And it will change the future in uncontrollable ways. And that could be good or bad. Some people might die, some people might come to life, some people might have kids, or some people might end up never being born. I mean, basically, no matter how you look at it, you're going to change everything like crazy. So simply put, changing history is the height of arrogance and insanely reckless, because you will change lives and you have no idea what those changes will be. And what right does someone have to change that many millions of people's lives in a completely random way? And make no mistake, if you change the past, people will end up dying. Either people who weren't going to have died in the other universe, or people who are going to have kids won't, and then they'll never be born. So it's manslaughter. I mean, yeah, alright, he might only be partially responsible, but he knows he's going to do it. And Batman knows all of this, of course, which is why he would never do it. Not unless he lost his mind first, anyway. So that's why he doesn't time travel to stop his parents from dying. But what about the other two options? I mean, he could get a couple of parents from another dimension, or he could just resurrect the ones from his dimension. Well, the other dimension one could work. I mean, there's bound to be a few universes where his parents are alive, he has died, and the world's gone to hell, so they really should jump ship anyway. I mean, that's literally what I was just explaining from the Flashpoint paradox. Though these versions of his parents are kind of damaged goods, to be honest, so this one wouldn't really work. In fact, the Flashpoint Thomas Wayne did actually come to the main universe in the comics, and he ended up becoming a villain in a misguided attempt to help his son, and his machinations ended with the death of Alfred. So clearly it was a mistake bringing him over to the main universe. But even if they're not damaged in some way, well, they're still not his actual parents. I mean, just very similar substitutes. Kind of like clones, really. But it could work, potentially. I mean, he could go along with them as surrogate parents, just like he's done for years with Alfred. But still, they're not his actual parents, are they? And that's what we're talking about here. So it just wouldn't work because it's not actually them. It's just a substitute. So that leaves us with Resurrection, a theme which was actually explored in the Harley Quinn series recently. Though personally, I do not like what they've done with Batman in this universe. But still, let's go over it. Now, basically, Bruce Wayne has used Poison Ivy's science of botany on his parents' corpses to bring them back to life. Or rather, to reanimate them. That might be a better way of putting it, since they're basically zombies. Plant zombie monsters. So it's not really resurrection. I mean, undead and alive are two very different things. Especially in this case. They seriously are just plant zombie monsters. Which is problem number one. and that is figuring out how to bring them back undamaged, as in not mindless zombies or monsters, and also having their full faculties and souls intact, as that is a common theme in Resurrection that they end up soulless. And this is also why Batman doesn't use a Lazarus Pit, incidentally. After all, he can definitely get access to one, and so a lot of people have asked, why doesn't he just dunk his parents in a Lazarus Pit, bring them back to life, and boom, he's got his family back. But as I was saying, that's because he couldn't bring them back undamaged. A Lazarus Pit warps the mind when it resurrects someone. It even warps it a bit when it just heals them, but with Resurrection it seems to be more severe. I mean, this isn't in every version of the Lazarus Pits, sure, but then not every version of the Lazarus Pits can resurrect people either. And the point is, sometimes the damage is subtle, sometimes it's really severe. But either way, it basically turns people crazy when they use it. In some versions, they actually say this is why Jason Todd became so murder happy, his resurrection in the Lazarus Pit. And it's not just that the pit's going to affect them like this. Dying and coming back to life in itself is very traumatic. I mean, I haven't done it, no one has, but it very clearly would be incredibly traumatic, wouldn't it? I mean, it's just obvious. So there's practically no way to resurrect them without causing trauma, unless you could use some sort of memory erasure in the process. And I should also mention that his parents have been dead for decades, so there may not actually be enough of their bodies left at this point to even use a Lazarus Pit. I mean, it's basically going to be bones and dust. And while there are some different versions where Ra's al Ghul's been brought back from ashes, well, it might not work so easily for everyone else. Rules are always different when we're talking about Ra's al Ghul now, aren't they? But all of this is why Batman would never do it. He doesn't know what they're going to come back like, he doesn't know how damaged or weird they're going to be, but he knows they're not going to be what they once were. And even if he does try it, there's still a fair chance it won't work, especially since there's not much of their body left. So he just doesn't use this because, well, it wouldn't work. In fact, going back to the Harley Quinn thing, it really is insanely out of character for him to do this. I mean, he wouldn't do it because he knows that it's not going to bring them back properly. In fact, he even ends up causing a type of apocalypse with this resurrection, as it creates a sort of plant zombie outbreak in the city. I mean, it does really make no sense at all. I mean, I get that it's supposed to be a comedy show and stuff, but these days that's not a good enough answer. We expect our quality entertainment whether it's drama or comedy. Back in the day, maybe they'd cut corners, but in the modern age, they can definitely make a comedy that makes sense with a solid story. They do it all the time in other shows, after all. But anyway, I'm getting off track again. Basically, Batman would not do this because it doesn't make sense. And their answer in the show that his trauma and grief just got the better of him, well, that's just not good enough. I mean, after all, his trauma and his grief have always been present and he's always brooding about it. He's infamous for it. They need something to happen in this sort of series that's like extra, something to just push him over the edge. And they don't really have that. So it doesn't make sense. And even if he did get that push, I still don't think he would make a zombie world-ending plague like this. I mean, he just wouldn't risk unleashing a plague. You know what I mean? I mean, in Batman White Knight, he does use Mr. Freeze's technology to help save Alfred's life, sure. So he's not above using villain's tech when he needs it, but that's a small, isolated case. What he does in Harley Quinn could not be more in the open. I mean, this is like an airborne virus he makes that's going to basically kill everyone. It's just insane. It's literally the type of thing a villain would do, not a hero. Even a hero who's going through something difficult. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is simply this. How do you bring them back to life without hurting others and without causing extreme trauma to the parents? And basically, until Batman has an acceptable answer for this, he can't resurrect them. And I think Batman knows this at his core, and it's at the crux of why he doesn't bring them back. He doesn't believe there is a way of doing it without causing more problems than if he just didn't bring them back in the first place. And while I wouldn't go so far as to say that he's accepted their deaths, I do think that he understands that letting them stay dead is better for the world, and probably better for his parents. After all, why bring them back if they're just going to be monsters, or mentally warped, or suffering from chronic trauma? I mean, they've been dead for decades. There's no way they would come back easily, and even if they do, the whole world is going to have changed. And if they're going to be suffering with chronic trauma or some sort of mental split or psychosis, well, quite frankly, bringing them back to that would just be cruel and sadistic. I mean, yes, Batman misses them and he wants them there, sure. But him doing it just for his own sake would be incredibly selfish. And that's not a hero. Heroes aren't supposed to be selfish, quite the opposite. So I think he would look at his parents and say, I'm not going to do that to the people I love most in the world. And that's why he doesn't bring them back. I mean, it's still a tough decision, sure, but Batman is good at making those. And he sticks to his guns on this one. He knows it will cause more problems, he knows it will be bad for them, and so he doesn't bring them back. And I should also point out that from a writing point of view, this also would not work. After all, his parents' death is his main motivation for being Batman. So if he brings them back, there is a fair chance that he would stop being Batman, or at the very least he would become less effective. And really, it just doesn't make sense from a story point of view. So I don't think they would do it from a production point of view, just looking at it purely from the point of DC and all that. I mean, that isn't the point of this video. The point of this video is to look at it from in-universe, looking at the character's motivations in itself. But I did think I should quickly mention that from a production point of view, it doesn't make sense either. But anyway, and those are the reasons that he doesn't bring his parents back. Now, there are probably some others that you can think of that I've missed. If that's the case, then please let us know in the comments, along with whether or not you agree or disagree with the reasons that I have given. And I'd just like to quickly remind everyone that we have some merchandise available on our store, and to say thanks to all of you who have donated to the Needle Mouse Productions page on Patreon. And as always, thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe, share, like, and comment.